Time to talk about our dear old friend Max C coming to Speed Duels and how this has caused so much interesting discussion. So, the reality of Max C, make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. Now, I talked about previously here about the realities of Max C and the problems that this card kind of faces with coming back in the TCG. So for those of you, remember the last time the Max C, oh wait, you play old formats, you see Max C all the time. The reality of having Max C in the current iteration of the game is it causes an unfair slope and an unfair, we're going to say, turn skip functionality. This is, you look at the current state of Master Duel out here, most TCG players don't ever want to see Max C again. But on, the opposite side of the equation, I mean, you still have people out here that tell me Max C is fine for the game and that it causes no real issues whatsoever. And we're actually just crazy for even thinking otherwise. So, okay, there's that. So the reality of Max C coming back is it's not going to happen. You all remember when we were super excited for Dandelion getting a reprint into Master Duel, into Speed Duel, and everybody was kind of like, could this actually happen? Could we see Dandelion come back? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Dandelion making 2 free tokens every time that thing touches the graveyard, and then those tokens having no restrictions on them whatsoever is what breaks those cards, all right? Like, there are issues as to why broken things like this. Yeah, sure, Dandelion could come back, but it's a plant monster. So what about all of your plant synergy out here that you've got cooking in the back over there? That's right. You haven't forgotten about the craziness that is the current plant toolbox of, the Ragnarika stuff, the combination of the Aromage cards, and, of course, the Sun Avalon cards. I don't know if tossing, even like getting Glow Up Bulb back at this point. Like, I'm sure they would test Glow Up Bulb, and I'm sure they would test Andy, and I don't even know if they would make like a huge splash in there. I'm not a plant main, but I feel like maybe just that little extra boost would push plants a little bit further over the edge. And that's not exactly something that I feel like the player base really wants to deal with at the moment. Call it what it is. So Speed Duel is designed to be its own self-contained format, which I'll give it to them. It's cool that the players that wanted the sealed plate experience could enjoy the sealed play experience. You had all of this wrapped up in a nice little box handed to you by Konami, and Konami said, hey, you know what? We got you guys. You guys miss the battle pack, or the good old battle pack. You guys remember battle pack, right? That little giraffe set that existed so long ago that players had the chance to sit down with and play. Yes, that's what Speed Duels actually was, I guess kind of built off of, was you wanted a seal play experience. You wanted the chance to, build and grow with this. And that's what you got. And that's where we lead up to the current point here where, we're dropping Max C into the format. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I think Max C is a ploy to sell this product. I can't really see them leaving Speed Duel in the state of having Max C drop into the format. But as much as I know about Speed Duel, I don't think, you would get a crazy ton of advantage off of Max C within the format. I can see, 2 to 5 cards being realistic draw options for this. And that's just that. And that's actually, Max C turning into a +1 isn't the worst thing. You guys remember back in the day when, you would Max C some of these decks. I think Heretic was the only real one that you could get like a crazy amount of advantage on. But then, you didn't have quite the amount of hand traps that you have now. So the thing that makes Max C incredibly scary is the fact that you can draw in to these additional hand traps, and then this huge wave of those extra cards is what crashes down on your opponent and is what causes this huge disruption wave to them. Suddenly, you activate Max C, and then, maybe a more chummy on top of it. Suddenly you're getting all this draw power. Now you're finding those Ash Blossoms, those Nibiru's, those Imperms, those power stop cards so much easier against your opponent. That's honestly why it is so punishing to look at out here, is just that combination of digging through to get to those cards, actually get things going. So I wanted to point that out. Now, is Maxi returning to the game as a 1 of, a 2 of, or a 3 of realistically? I think it's a no of. But for Maxi to push back into the format as a 3 of, it does change the game. It makes things a lot more intolerable. Maxi is a 2 of, oh boy, so the OCG dimensional shifter problem of I see it some of the time, but not all of the time, okay? And then to top things off out here, you've got the consideration point for, if you bring it back as a 1 of, then it's even sackier than it was previously. So there's a lot to think about with that. I think overall, even though some people, or just want to watch the format burn, and they're like, just bring back Maxi, I mean, it would have helped out some of these Tier 0 formats, I feel like. But the problem is, when your opponent's playing the Tier 0 deck, and they have that Maxi, and they Maxi you after they have that insanely large board of, guess what, you have the Apollosa, and you have all of this. Now your opponent's going to draw, 16 quadrillion cards out here. This is why I feel like Maxi should have been errated to just being, honestly, something that can only be used on the first turn of the game, and that's it. But you're not going to see an errata for something like that actually happen. And, it's just the reality of the situation, I think, going forward. So, no, I don't think Maxi is coming back. Do I realistically see Maxi coming in the Bonanza set as a QCR later in the year? That is on the table. I would not be surprised, because remember, you have that nostalgia pool of 200 cards available. In that pile of nostalgia stuff, you are more than likely going to see a very large amount of things that you are going to be like, wow, what is this doing here? And I think, them printing Maxi here as a secret rare, and it should be a common as well within the deck, them going ahead and putting it in the Bonanza set 2 as an Ultra, a Super, and all of this, gives them the chance to actually print it. And in case they do want to bring Maxi back, because I feel like at certain points in time, the TCG likes to do things to try to spice it up. And as much as I'm going to say this, and I hate to do this, I could see the TCG trying to unban Maxi for a format out here to try to be like, see, you can play Master Duel IRL. See, it's okay. To be fair, though, I also thought the TCG would, or the OCG would bring back Pot of Greed for a format to help the sales of the Pot collection. It's like, hey, if you bought the Pot collection, you can go play your quarter century version of it. It's at one, and then reban it a format later. Sometimes we're so used to the old Konami madness methods. I've been like, yeah, that's a very Konami thing that they would do. And then you blink and you're like, oh, wow. Did they actually do that? Well, realistically, anything is entirely possible at this point. Maxi could come back, but the realistic thing right now is I feel like they're just prepping it for the reprints so that the nostalgia people can get them as much as they can for Edison, because Speed Duel is essentially, well, not even for Edison, just for older formats in general out here. The fact that, you can have this power card be a use for so many of those old formats out there just so that you can try to play the game, I think is what they're pushing for this. We don't have to sit here and get freaked out every single time. We look at it like, oh, it's Dandelion 2.0. Oh, hey, look, it's the Pot of Greed situation. Just chill on the Maxi thing. Get a couple and make sure you have them just in case something happens. I mean, this isn't all the way until November. So, who knows? But could be a QCR and Bonanza. Wouldn't surprise me. So please, leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I will see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Peace. Patrons! Thank you!
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.